Welcome to Gen 365 podcast. This is an initiative of Beyond the Veil Mission. And this is a podcast for the community to empower a generation of healing and hope 365 days of the year. Before we begin, I want to remind you the meaning of humanity or Ubuntu. I am because you are. I am because we are. Therefore, to create a safe and brave space for all of us, we must remember that my healing is as good as my community healing. This is a podcast for everyone who loves the community. If you are listening to this new episode, I want you to remember that we see you and you matter. Welcome. Let's go. Okay, welcome everyone. Thank you so much. Again, this is Gen 365 podcast. This is Lydia, your host. And today we have a very special episode for the celebration of Black History Month. I have three amazing people. They're going to take the time to present themselves, tell our audience who they are, the work that they do, and even getting to know them beyond their work, because we are trying to promote humanity. We're trying to promote, celebrating who we are, the Black community, the beauty of who we are, our identity, our bodies, celebrating all of that, our excellence and all of that. So thank you so much today. So today's topic is going to be Black resistance then and now. So I chose that topic because for so many reasons. First is because this is the theme of Black History Month 2023, and I think it's a conversation that we need to bring in our community. What are the ways that we can learn from, our ancestors back then, ways they resisted, oppression, slavery, and what are we doing now to continue to resist, Black racism, oppression, and all of that. So I have, experts here, amazing people from our community. I'm going to invite them, starting, do we go ladies first? Rita, our own Rita, welcome. Please tell us who you are in your, your professional settings, especially your contribution to the Black community. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lydia, for this opportunity and also having this important discussion, of course. And happy Black History Month to everyone. Once again,
thank you.
All the Black queens and kings and everyone, just happy Black History Month. My name is Rita Ngarambe, as Lydia mentioned, and my professions or my titles or my contribution to the Black community. I'm Queen of Emancipation, the first ever Queen of Emancipation Canada, and Miss Face of Humanity, second Global Ambassador, as well as Miss Face of Humanity Rwanda. And I have a non-profit organization. And I think that's about it in regards to my contribution. And I do poetry for the work of humanity, of course.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. And Likam, you can present yourself and tell the audience who you are. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. My name is Likam Kyanzaire. I'm a community and nonprofit worker. I'm also a contributing writer for BuyBlacks.com. It's the largest platform for Black people in Canada to speak about, fashion, civics, anything like that. As well as I do a lot of freelance writing for different publications on different topics, including African history, as well as just topics that are important to the Black community.
Thank you. Thank you. And Kizito, welcome.
Thank you, Lydia. I really appreciate it. Thank you for hosting us on 365 podcast. Want to wish everybody a wonderful February month, Black History Month. And of course, remembering that, yes, we celebrate February month, but we want to make this kind of energy last 12 months a year. My name is Kizito Musabimana, as you mentioned. I run a non-for-profit here in Toronto called the Rwandan Canadian Healing Center. And our focus is on mental health and providing learning and as well as resources. So Some of the things we're doing right now is around affordable housing, and then of course providing space for community members to come and share their stories.
Thank you so much, Kizito. Everyone, we are so proud. We are so proud for the work that you do. We invited you because you inspire beyond the value, inspire the entire community. So thank you so much. And everyone listening, you heard, what they do. In any way, if you want to collaborate with them, work with them, we are going to add their either social media when we post this podcast, and you can reach out to them. Thank you so much. And before we continue, I remember one time I was, working on different programs for our organization, and I was emphasizing on the importance, having safe space in our community. And this Black woman told me, no, actually, we need first breathing space. And that things really stayed with me. I was like, before we even be safe, we can breathe. Because there's always so many demands here and there. And I was like, from that time, I really, really value so much the art of breathing, the art of resting. And I'm going to ask you, can you tell us who you are, who you are when you are rested outside of your professional work? Because we tend to introduce ourselves within our work. And I need to know, on the personal level, if someone can ask, who is Rita, who is Kizito, who is Likam, who are you?
We will let the ladies go first, as you say, so ladies first.
I feel like we should change this. Ladies first when there is no danger. I think that's the full sentence.
There is no danger here.
I think who we are, it's so simple. Like, it's a simple question, but when you overthink it, it's when it gets complicated. It's like a human being with lots of emotions, with lots of thoughts, and lots of because they said the outside world is what goes inside ourselves, like what goes within. So it's like frightened, scared, excited, happy, have these dreams, and then the next day or the next 1 hour feeling depressed, like everything is over. So like I am just a range of emotions, a human being existing, I think.
Amen.
Yeah.
I love
Thank you.
Anyone, go ahead, let's just, feel free.
Okay, I guess I'll go. I guess I'd say just because a lot of the work, especially when you're talking about things like social justice issues, can be exceptionally pessimistic in a way, where you're always talking about what's wrong with the world. I guess outside of that, I like to be more optimistic. So, I'm more like, oh, wow, let me go meet people and do things and, try to be part of the world. Whereas when I'm working, I have to be not necessarily a realist, but I have to be, this is what the world is. It does suck. Let's do something about it. But kind of managing those two, I think, is really what gets you going. It keeps your energy up. So I guess that's what I'd say. That's what I am outside of work.
Wow.
So Likam, to add to what you just said, for me, I'm the opposite. Outside of work, if I had a choice, honestly, if the world was peaceful, if I didn't feel like I had to contribute anything, I'll find a place somewhere in Hawaii. You will never see me again. I'll just be meditating for the rest of my life. And I'm serious. That's
100% I agree.
When I'm not, if I can take a break, I'm usually taking a walk, or I'm just laying down and I don't want to look at anything, not the phone or anything. Just kind of disconnect from the world is where I feel the most fulfilled. It's not to say that I don't love people. I love people, but I'm an introvert that when I'm with people, I need so much time to recharge. Yes. And that's not something that a lot of people would think about me. So yeah, I'll definitely say that I love my lone space.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful, Kizito. Growing up, I did not like my own space. I just wanted to be everywhere. But as a mother now, I do appreciate my own space. Actually, yesterday my son was laughing because I bought this sign to put on my door so my kids can know when they are allowed to come in my room or when they cannot.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah, because every time they know that I'm here, they cannot respect my space boundaries. So I was like, if you see a red here, don't even knock on this door. So, that's a good thing. I love that, emotions. I think we had an episode about like, the art of feeling, the language of feeling. I'm learning that because I'm a queen of shutting down my emotions. I know how to do that well. So it's a beautiful thing being, positive and all of that. So let's keep going. But before we continue, can we all take a deep breath? We can do this 3 times because I know we need this. We deserve this. So we're going to take a deep breath in and out, holding it for a second each. 3 times. Let's go. When you're ready, breathe in. Breathe out.
I tell you, Lydia, if you keep making us meditate, I might fall asleep on this podcast, and you'll have to come back. But no, this is powerful.
Let's go one more time. Breathe in again. Breathe out. And one last time, breathe in. Breathe out. Welcome home. Let's go. So we need that. We deserve that. We work so hard. We deserve that all the time. So as I mentioned today's episode, we draw attention to the concept of the movement of Black resistance then and now. And this is also the theme, of 2023 Black History Month. And I want each one of you, to briefly help our audience to know what history tells us about Black resistance and why this movement plays a crucial role in the Afro-Black liberation. Thank you.
I think maybe I can go first. And I would say that for me, I draw at Black Panther a lot. I draw at some of the movements we had, especially the Haitian Revolution, and looking at some of the examples that the West have made of the country of Haiti, because Haiti was the first country to declare its independence. And ever since we've been, the global West have been penalizing Haiti every chance they get. And similar to Black Panther, Black Panthers were very influential in the Black community, and yet also they were very penalized by the FBI, by many agencies because they stood up for their people, because they provided food, because they let the world know that they were Black and proud. So I think, and looking at where we came from and where we are now, I would say that we are kind of softening our stance, if you will. I don't know if that's a good or a positive thing, that we are more, we are no longer as strong, we are no longer as, we are not standing as proud as we used to be with Black Panthers or the Haitian Revolution. And I think a lot of it is coming from the trauma of those moments and those periods. So I don't know if we are advancing as well as we would have had we continued to push forward with that kind of power. But I'll say that's where I draw my energy from, those movements, and to remember that everything we are asking for, everything we are seeking for is ours to begin with. We are claiming what was ours that was stolen from us, whether it's our dignity, whether it's our freedom, or whether it's just our humanity, as Rita always says. We are claiming what's ours, and to do that, one of my favorite author, John Henry Clark, says, you can't ask for freedom. You have to take it.
Yes.
Because nobody's going to give you freedom. Nobody's going to educate you how to get freedom from them, because once they have it, you must take it from them. And what we do sometimes is look like we want to ask for freedom from somebody, from your colonizer, from a former colonizer, who have yet to show you that they are changing their ways. And I think we have to remember, if somebody says, yes, we have changed, let's come to the table, let's give you what's yours, sure. But most of the time, we are advocating for issues that nobody wants to look at. And their only attitude is, it's mine and I'm here to take it.
Yeah, because our struggle benefits them. If there is no longer of our struggles, they are not getting anything. So you are right. But before we continue with everyone, I wanted to ask you, you mentioned Black Panther and all of that. Is there any form of resistance they used that you feel like, you can use in this era that, as a form of resistance they used to use back then, that continue to inspire you, that you wish that you can use it right now?
I would say there is something that we lack that I think was powerful during the Black Panthers movement, which was Black family. Mm-hmm. The Black family was powerful during those days. Mm-hmm. Right now, most Black families are broken down. So you could survive without being a part of this connected society during those days. Right now, if you're disconnected, if you're cancelled, it's really tough to survive, especially when you know that you might be alone. Your wife or your girlfriend might leave you because they also need to survive. So we've lost that element, and I think that's one thing that I wish we had more of, Black family, because I think that goes a long way in actually standing on your square. So I think, I think that's one thing that we could use as a resistance, because we really don't need anything other than just having each other. Yes. I think that's one thing that we've lost, that if we can get back, we'll be really in a good place.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I feel like we don't need just one episode for this conversation. We got more, because as you speak, I feel like I have lots to say, but I'm going to need to hear from Rita, from Likam, answering the same question, hearing from different perspectives. That's always good for our audience and everyone. Thank you.
Likam, you want to go?
No, go ahead. I'll go after.
Okay. I think just to add on what Kizito said, it's a lot to learn from them, the Black Panthers. They introduced what is known as like Black Power, which was like drawn and later on used for everything that we stand for. So they gave like value to the Black people, like made them believe in themselves again. I think most of all the revolutions, they get to say that for someone to really colonize you or take whatever you are, like who you are as a person, is to first make you believe that you are nothing without them. And that's one thing that they made like Black people believe or even think, like they're equal to nothing without being a slave to a master or having someone know what you're going to be doing tomorrow and all those things. And I think we carried that on. Like Kizito mentioned that we still carry the trauma of those like days. We don't think it is because we weren't directly colonized, but our ancestors were. And we think that we have to be in this constant loop of existing, not just like not living. We don't have like give up whatever your dreams are and look for safety. Hence why he was saying that we don't have stable families, because there is a different type of colonization. They think they call it modern slavery, where they shifted the focus. We are no longer in plantation, but we are in a different plantation.
Yes.
And like we see this happening, like Uganda recently lost its only national airport to China. So now they control whatever comes in, whatever goes in. And it's like, how is that different from back then? And now their children are going to be like that. They're going to be employed, and then they're going to start employing their own people. So like that unity is lacking, but at the same time, when people introduce unity, it's like we don't protect it as it should. Even the Black Panthers, they were betrayed by one of their own people. So Black people are like, I don't want to bring my brother or my sister to work with me because they might betray me. There is like history that keeps repeating itself. But we have to have faith for ourselves first. And if we trust ourselves enough, we can trust someone else as well. I don't know if that answers your question. And then the other person will be Marcus Garvey, who introduced the Negro Association, like to empower the Black people, and introduced emancipation. So to emancipate yourself, it's emancipate yourself from mental slavery. So he was trying to explain everything, that it's not just you being enslaved or being called the name of your slave master. It's like there is different types of enslavement, and you have to learn to emancipate yourself from that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Wow. Incredible. I'm loving every part of it. Let's hear from Likam and we move on. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Honestly, I feel like you two said basically anything I was going to say, honestly. But I guess if I'm looking at history, two places I love to look at is how Botswana reacted to colonization specifically. So just the idea that Botswana kept a lot of its institutions intact, the things they had pre-colonially, and to get around colonialism, so they weren't actually being attacked by different Europeans, they made their own deals with the British. Now, they were still technically colonized, and because they got to keep so much of their traditional institutions, even today, you know, they're the fastest growing country in the 20th century. You know, there's a lot of things that because of that, they were able to keep what's special to them. And I think that's such a interesting way of resistance where you don't necessarily, you know, you don't fight to the death. You fight to keep what's important to you. And I always think it's something that's really important to keep, especially as, you know, we're fighting not just a Black movement, but we're fighting, you know, an ecological movement. We're fighting so many other things, and we have to keep that in mind, you know, what's important to us, what are we going to keep, and how do we keep it? And as well, I'm a big Thomas Sankara fan. I just love his idea again about community, right?
Yes.
His whole idea is we have to do for us. You cannot depend on anyone else but yourself. And so let's get down to work to help ourselves. So I just think those are two very interesting ways to look at the world, especially when we're going in this, you know, post-COVID era.
Yes.
And I just think it says a lot about resistance and the different ways we imbue resistance in what we do.
And maybe to go around with that, if you notice, everybody we've mentioned except for Botswana, and I thank Likam for introducing me to Botswana. I was embarrassed as an African that I did not know the history of Botswana. But if you look at every individual we just mentioned, from Marcus Garvey to Brad Thomas Sankara to even the Black Panthers, all of them were cut from, like, they got infiltrated by the federal governments from wherever they were. Yes, there was the black on black crime because most of them were using Black people, but we are always being attacked by the governments. If it's not our government, it's the Western governments. And so we really have to focus our liberation, if you will, at those governments, because most of the time when we have somebody that's successful, they either die young or they get infiltrated.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is an amazing conversation, and I hope we can continue the conversation from here. I like Rita as we're bringing in the emancipation conversation, because that idea is, you know, even our government, even our leaders, you know, when they get to the top, you know, few of them do really think about their own people. Now, you know, with the slavery mentality in place that we are not healing from, how do we stop this? How do we end this? But I like the idea all of you shared about, you know, bringing together families, community. And I think I thought about, you know, can we redefine what Black families mean? Maybe now we can redefine it in a way that community. I think I learned something, different Black organizations, now when they send out emails or, you know, letters, they end their emails with, like, you know, in communities, in solidarity, instead of using regards, stuff like that. It's like reminding whoever they're addressing to that we are together. I think we have to think about redefining, even thinking about the Rwandan community or other communities that experience tragedies, that lost many people. Some of us do not have many families, do not have bigger families. Maybe start thinking about ourselves like, you know, Black people, the Afro-Black community as a family, looking out for one another, you know, the way we're doing this, you know, working together, supporting one another. We have to rethink what is family, you know, how do we support each other? Anyway, so let's just slow down a little bit and then we'll come back with more questions. I wanted to ask you, you know, in terms of the construction and storytelling of Canadian history, the contribution of instrumental Black Canadians has been excluded for many years. But we see a little bit of change now. Would you share one Black Canadian who made a contribution to our society? You can choose, someone who inspires you. I say this because most of the time in the media, we see everything from US, and I think it's important that we think about, Black Canadians, especially who shaped our history. Is there anyone who inspired you? Any thought about that? Let the audience know. Thank you.
I can go first. I'll be completely honest. Just growing up here and going to school in Canada, I can't even think in my head about one Black Canadian they ever taught us about. So I'd admit that my knowledge on Black Canadian history specifically isn't that great. But given all that, even as a kid, I was always really interested in Viola Desmond. So I mean, now famously she's on the $10 bill, but she used to be known as Canada's Rosa Parks. For those who don't know the story, she went to a movie theater that was segregated, and she sat in the whites only section. And obviously they told her to get out, and she got arrested for that. But actually my favorite thing about her is she plays on both levels. So she did not want to get out of her seat, and that's a form of resistance. She's like, no, your system is oppressive. I don't want to deal with that. That's resistance. But on the other side of that, she actually owned her own hair salon and worked hard to teach other Black women to do hair and start businesses and to actually build those communities. So, with her, it wasn't just about resistance, but it was about liberation through building other networks. And I think just having both of those is really interesting.
That's a great one. Thank you. Anyone else?
So for me, it's not an individual. I was just in Halifax last year, and we visited a town called Blackville. And to me, the Nova Scotian Black community is so inspirational. Like the idea, because for them, because usually when you come to Canada, the majority of Black people you meet, they're either Caribbeans or, or Africans that came here recently. You don't meet many Canadians that are actually native to this land, meaning they've been here as early as 1600. And that's the Nova Scotian Black community. So they took us through a tour where we were looking at how the government took their land and sort of put them into a form of slavery. As we're saying, it wasn't slavery as what was in the States, but they were taking their lands, or they were taking the lands that they had originally owned and giving it to other people. So for me, that community has inspired me, has given a new look at what Black Canadian means. Because all the time we think of Black Canadians, we think of people who have recently came to Canada. You don't think of people who have been here for as long as 400 years.
Wow.
So Blackville.
Wow. I really love that. And I'm learning because I had no idea. Because I've been seeing Nova Scotia Black. I was like, I've been seeing that in the media. I was like, what's there? What's happening? So thank you so much. Thank you. Rita?
I'm also learning, I didn't know that there were native Black people here. So I think for me, I had to actually go back to Google, make sure that I say her name right. Dr. Jean Augustine. I recently got the honor to be honored as one of the 100 accomplished Black women, and she's one of the founders. So every year they celebrate 100 Black women. Thank you. And she came here as a worker. I think she was working as a nanny or something, just a home worker. And then she got herself into school, and she ended up becoming the first Black woman to be a member of parliament. So ever since, she has done numerous works around Canada, also inspiring Black young girls, so many immigrant women, that they can be something, that they can be a hope for their families, that they can have stable families as well, and make their dreams come true. So I think she's one of the people that I look up to in Canada.
Wow. Thank you so much. Honestly, I thought about that question because I realized that even myself, I need to educate myself a lot in that area. Because even my own kids, most of the books we have, these are mostly either African inspiring Black people, or, from the US, Canada. Most of the time we don't talk about it. but it's important that we really recognize that. And maybe Kizito is going to take us to visit that town, that city, and we meet all the beautiful Black natives. That's amazing, because we are always being seen as, newcomers, refugees, immigrants, and all of that. And, I really love that. Anyhow, let's keep going, going back to our topic. What are the ways? I think we touched base a little bit on that, but I wanted to discuss that. What are the ways the Afro-Black communities continue to use the Black resistance movement to fight against the system of oppression and racism? So I'm going to need you to give us, some of the examples that so people can know, the community listening to us, they can even be like, what can I do? How can I contribute? Because one thing I think when we had the conversation with the Kerry team, and all of you are also from Kerry, so I think we touched base on how we were introduced to this new identity. We came from Africa. For us, you Rwandan, you Nigerian, then you get here, you black. It's like, it's like something, a whole new, yes, I know I'm Black, but you have to learn how to be what the white person means when they say you are Black. And this summer, our team went to Rwanda. We had this event with maybe 80 young people that benefit from our organization in Rwanda. And we had the conversation about racial identity. And it's so surprising when we ask them, what does it mean to be Black for you? What does it mean to be African or Rwandans? When we talk about Rwandans, they were more going to the, it's being like strong, protecting your country, like, military wise, like, things like that. And then African, it's like, it's about your skin, how your skin look like. And there's some African people without, the Black skin. And then when we say about the Black people, they were like, Black people are just, it's about our skin, it's about our, it's like, there is a new way we learn how to be Black, and then we join our community to really be part of it and shift things and resist this system of oppression. And I need you to give us examples. What are the ways we continue to use, or maybe the new ways we are using the Black resistance to fight against this system of oppression and racism? Thank you.
I think what I'm thinking about when you talk about that is even I didn't think of anything like I'm Black until I went to study in the United States. I was like, what do you mean? Like, I know I'm Rwandan. I know even Africa as a whole entity. I was like, I could be Burundian or Ugandan or something close, like the people that I meet day to day, but to say you are Black, and it's like, it's something you can't escape, because there is food that is considered Black. There is music that's considered Black. So Black is like, it's like almost like a cloud of whatever country you live in. So it's a shared umbrella of who we are as a people, and there is no escaping that. Whether you are, we even have these debates with mixed kids. You're like, what do you identify as? And they're like, everyone who sees me says I'm Black, but I am mixed. And I'm like, you're already on the Black side, no matter what. So there are things that we can't escape. And I think it's best to embrace it and give it value so that you're proud of it. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the ways that we have carried on the ways of resistance is music, like mostly art or drawing or like writing. Even when you look at back then, like they had the Negro church songs. They use them to communicate, like even people like, what's the name? Like the Harriet Tubman. They were like, they would sing the songs to talk about the secret places to meet. There is a certain language that we, as a Black community, we connect in. There are words that we understand on a different level. And I think we've carried that on. Except the youth, we are kind of slacking, because now we want to sing about the drugs and all these other things, instead of looking at it as this is something that will live even after when I'm gone. Like, do you want to do something for the hype, or something that will last a lifetime, something that will change and liberate your people, something that will give your child a better education? Like to tell them you are meant for greatness. So go, like if it meant to go to school, go. If it means to work and have dreams to be a doctor so you can cure certain disease for your own people because they don't get the same treatment as white people in the same hospital, then go do that, instead of saying go do drugs and dance all night and whatnot. So I think it's the art, but it's being dragged on. It's not as strong as it used to be anymore.
Wow, thank you. I love the idea of think about music, arts. That's really powerful. Anyone else who can contribute to this?
So for me, it goes back to having a code. And then you will ask, what is a code? A code is knowing thyself and being and walking and building with people that know thyself.
Yes.
And what does that mean? So a lot of us, if we really are honest, and I always say this everywhere I go, and I want to make sure that I hope nobody punches me in the face one day, but as Black members of society, anywhere you go, we have to be dealing with some form of trauma because of what our people have gone through historically.
Yes.
Meaning we have lost ourselves somewhere. Not entirely maybe, but somehow something is missing. So how do you gain that which is missing? Obviously, we have to go back to the point when we were fully who we could say we are as a Black community. So how do we fight? To me, that's the best way to find out who you are, build that character, build that person to become the person that you really actually are proud of as a Black person. Know that there is nothing better than being Black. And I'm sorry to say, but everyone else wants to be Black. We are under the sun. You know, the sun is the food for everybody, and we are the best friends to the sun. So soon as we know that, now we need to actually work with people that believe as we do. Because sometimes I always think that one of the mistakes Africa has made is having its people educated in Europe and in the Americas, in the Western world. Because a lot of the time we come here Black, we go back to Africa white. And you can't teach and you can't build Africa with white ideologies. And so if we can get those brothers and sisters that come here and come to study here to study in hopefully in universities that actually know who these people are and they can really make them love and embrace being Black, perhaps we'll have a different Africa than we have today. So to me, we fight the system oppression and racism by first knowing and really first building ourselves to be who we are to be, who we're meant to be, and building with people that think like we do.
Thank you. I heard arts. I heard, celebrating our identity. That's really powerful and beautiful. Likam, anything you can add to that?
I guess something kind of both of them, actually. I think what Kiz was saying is really important about knowing who you are. And I think on both sides, I'm actually very optimistic about younger kids today, more so than back then. Just in the small ways, like I remember growing up and, if my hair was a bit too long, you got called out for that, for being this or that, you know? If I wore my own cultural clothing, you got called out for that. The thing I like about kids these days is, they'll do what they want to do and then they'll call you out for it, If you say you don't look smart, a lot of Africans like the word smart. You don't look smart. Why don't I look smart? Well, what about that doesn't look smart, And they're willing to actually think critically about what's been going on. And I think that's such a very powerful thing in resistance, not being able to take something at face value and like going to, whether it's your parents, whether it's other Black people, whether it's white people, and saying, why do you think that? Why don't you think this way? Because I think a lot of what we think is authentic to us, we still don't know. So much of our history is taken from us that we have to even build that up, to say that we have to go back to our Black history. Well, there was no such thing as Black people back before colonialism, right? The whole idea of race is made up itself. So I think kids these days are starting to play with that and the idea that I can be who I want to be and Black at the same time. I think that's a very powerful form of resistance.
Absolutely.
If I may, I'm curious. I have two questions. If I may, Likam. Like one is, you'd mentioned we pick and choose like what's important to us. Let's say like how is it Botswana? The country,
sure.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like how do you choose, let's say as a country, You have things that makes you who you are. You're proud, you're peaceful. Let's take, for instance, like Rwanda, right? They were kings. Like, we know the history because like we are lucky enough that most of our people are still alive. And so we have like this peaceful place, and someone comes, even if they want to change the furniture in your room, which eventually changes how you sit at the table when you're eating, which eventually changes what you want to eat, which initially changes like everything in your mental space changes. I don't know, like someone rearranging your house, for instance. That's like the knowledge I'm trying to give, like as compared to a country. How do you decide what to let go and what to hold on? And I think answering that question reflect back to the kids of these days, saying, I can choose who to be and like define myself, instead of saying, because we can choose to say, I don't see color. Like, we are all equal. We're all human beings. Like, I don't want to listen to my parents saying, I'm Black, I should learn how to be Black, like, and all those things, and choose to be humanitarians and say, we're all like equal human beings, right? But then the world doesn't see you that way. You get shot, you'll be nailed on and you can't breathe, or you won't have the opportunities, right? But if you had learned your history, it will make you more stronger and know how to navigate the world. Like, we draw from the history to better prepare our tomorrow and to be able to sustain ourselves in the present moment. So how do you pick and choose what goes and what stays? And how do you redefine yourself without really considering your history? Those are my two questions.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, I don't think you should not consider your history. Of course you have to, but it shouldn't define you. You know, it's something that, like, what's a good way of putting it? So, Blackness, let's just talk about Blackness. If we're looking historically, there is no Blackness, you know? There was Igbos over here, there was Maasais over there, there's things over there. When they met each other, they didn't look at each other as you're Black and I'm Black. When Europe came to Africa, what they did is they divided. If we all thought each other was Black, there's no way, let's say as an Igbo person, I would have gone, oh, I don't like those Fulani people. Let me go team up with the British to get rid of them. You know, if we all thought each other was Black, that's what happened. Blackness is the imagined community that we have to define. You know, we're defining it now. And how we define it is up to us. Because, you know, there's no one unity. A Black person in the Caribbean is not the same thing as a Black person in Kenya. And so that's up to the individual. I can't tell anybody how to define themselves.
Can I interject and just maybe add to, let's beat up on you now.
Sure.
You're saying you can pick and, because I think, yes, there was no Blackness, but those people were there. Therefore, there was Blackness, just we didn't see ourselves as Black. And the only way to get back to any essence of what that was is to define that yourself. And I think if you're saying like young people who say, oh, I can do whatever I want, those to me, I look at them and I'm like, that scares me, because that's where a lot of us get lost. And then when you turn my age, you start saying, oh, I didn't know this. Because at some point, you're going to lean on history. And at some point, you're going to lean on history to know where you're heading. And so, not to say that once you find out who you are, you become Black power. No, I don't think, for example, most Black people who are well educated about their history, they don't usually practice Black power and all of that, but they know what they're standing on. And I think that's what we're trying to say. It's not to say that all of us should be, oh, Black power. No, but at least we know, oh, when I see you, I know I recognize myself in you. Versus,
but that's my. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, like a small thing. You know the story of a chicken and I think a bird. Someone came in and is like, they all look the same entirely, but then the ego, and then like when they, I don't know, let's say like they ran towards them, one was able to fly higher than like into the clouds. Others were able to stay. It's not that you can say, oh, they don't look the same, but it's like the nature of things, the nature of being, like just how you were made as a person. Like one can fly, one can stay on the ground. So are you going to be blind to the differences and say, well, they were sitting on the same, like they were staying on the same ground, so let's look at this part? Or are you going to look at the development of things and how it has changed, that one can be able to fly, that one can be able to stay? Maybe just to make it like neutral. Your people have been shipped from one place to another to be used as sex slaves, to be used as toys, jump, mock, make fun faces, become a puppet for someone, be paid for a penny or be given for free. Your children were raped, your kids, and it's not like they did that to their brothers and sisters. No, they went to someone who looked different than them. So that difference that allows another man to feel superior is what should make the Black child want to learn their history. Because no matter how blind, how innocent, how naive you want to be and look at the world as just plainly white, there is always that black and white of someone saying, yes, you are saying it's plainly white, but there are two colors. And I will make you feel that. I'll make you feel that by saying Black women are able to sustain pain when they're giving birth, so they will die during giving birth. I will make you believe in that when we cause wars in their country, they come to our country to find refugee, but we'll make them work in the industries. You see what I'm saying here? But they want to make their children go work in the industry. If you wake up in the 5 a.m. train, you will find Black people packed going to work. You will find at least 2 to 3 white people. Because of what? Because of I need 5 papers for me to give you the same job. I'll give to someone who has the same education, half of education as you. As a Black person, you are intelligent, you have experience, you have education, you have everything. But someone else will say, you are lower than me. So that definition of someone else is what makes you believe that, what can I do to protect myself? I'm realizing my skin is not as tough as theirs, if that makes sense. Like, my income does not come in, the safety of my family does not come in as theirs, as easily as it comes to them. You see what I'm saying? It's important for Black children anywhere in the world to learn that there is someone else who sees you different, and they are a threat to your safety, to your security, to your livelihood, to everything, to your whole entire existence as a whole. And if not for you, for your country, if not for you, I think it's Baldwin said it nicely. He said, every time I want to be better, every time I dream for better for myself, I'm told to wait. How long can I wait? It took my grandparents' time. It took my great-grandparents' time. It took my father's time. And now it's taken my time. How long can I wait? And he is asking that because history repeats itself every single time. That's like, you have to learn to say, yes, you are safe. You may think you are safe, but someone has a gun on your head. So whose advantage is it to learn that you are in danger? Like, who does it benefit?
You know what?
Did I make any point?
Yeah, this is why I say we're gonna need more of this conversation. And I am telling you, what everyone is saying is really valid, especially when you start listening from the younger ones' perspectives. You get to learn so much. We have kids who are so free, who feel welcome, who are so driven to pursue anything. And at the end of the day, my 15 years old, when he comes home from the gym at 9 p.m., I'm like, call me when you get out of the bus. I'm like, he's tall, he's strong. Sometimes he tell me, Mom, I'm from the West. You see me, you see how strong I am, you see. I'm like, I don't stop thinking about that. And this is a boy, he's a friend with everyone, white, Black, so open. But, I really have this conversation with my kids. What Rita is saying, I talk about those conversations with them. And now I can see that when my kids recognizing something fishy, they're quickly to recognize. And the good thing is that then we train them. What can you do in that situation? Because the law is not going to favor you. For example, my kids in school, if my son does, maybe they end up in an argument, even if my son did not initiate, they're not going to see him as a kid. I've seen that multiple times. Now my son becomes like a man. I remember one time standing in front of this principal telling me, oh mon Dieu, it was like in French. I was so scared. And guess what? This girl actually was the one throwing ice and taking my son's shoes, when they were playing outside in the snow. She was violating his space. And when my son tried to really defend himself, throwing the snow back, now my son has traumatized the girl. Even the principal talking to me, she had tears in her eyes. I looked at her. I'm like, are you serious? So it's a lot. It's a lot. Let's continue. I know we can speak until tomorrow, but at the end of the day, we are here. How do we resist this? What can we do? I always tell Kizito, we need power. Power is money. We need that because at the end of the day, there is nothing you can do with empty hands. There is no way we can fight this system with empty hands. I think one person once said, if Black people, all of them, had life insurance, all of them knew about the power of life insurance, the police will really stop killing them every second. Because now insurance will be dealing with them, and once they pay two times, they're gonna stop doing that. And they were saying the other thing, like, when someone from other communities is violated because that community has maybe more money, they're able to hire powerful lawyers. That's why we don't see them more often, trying to scream to be heard. So at the end of the day, we're talking about Black resistance, but we're gonna continue to talk. It's not just us volunteering to do this work, but how do we earn power, even financial capacity to really be able to support one another. I think the next question speak more to what we've been discussed, but I want to move on to this new form of resistance. I think when we start the conversation, I touched base about it. This is one of the concepts from the author Tricia Hersey. She really does inspire me a lot in many ways. When you listen to her, you can really just drop her.
Can you say the name of the author again? Sorry.
Tricia Hersey. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I can send you the name, or when we post, I'm gonna include that in the post. But one of her book recently that she released is called Rest is Resistance Manifesto. So that's like, a call to the Black community to use rest as a form of resistance. She gives some of the example how one time she was actually in an accident and the manager was calling her, how do you feel? Can you just try to come work for a few hours? So I'm going to start with one of her quotes where she says, rest deprivation is a racial injustice issue. So then the question is that, many Afro-Black scholars and leaders are now advocating the importance of including rest as a form of Black resistance. Have you ever heard of this? If yes, what does this mean to you? Rest as a form of resistance.
I guess I'll go. Actually, yeah, the first time I heard of it is when you sent us questions. I thought it was a really interesting thing. I love that idea, really. I think it's important, and people have to be reminded, especially when you're in the work of resistance, that rest is important. On a very personal level, just being able to manage your own energy is important because you have to put that energy back into the fight, right? So I think it's an interesting concept. And if you want to send a link, I'd love to read that full article or whatever.
Yeah, it's a book, and it's even a short book. It's a very, very, very interesting book. Anyone else who you can even disagree with it? What are your thoughts?
I'm here to be like, I'm a great debater. Like I would say yes, the same thing in my mind, but I want to get to to make sure that if I say next time, I can fully support it. So I'll ask questions. I'll be that annoying kid in class.
Maybe one of you, all of you, we read this book and then we come back talk about it, because
yes, please,
so much in here. And I think, she touched base on, especially capitalism demands that make us feel like, I have to be productive to look like, I'm doing something. And I'm not gonna lie, I've been learning when my kids are sitting down, you should have like, why are you sitting down? But now I'm like, I need to show them that you can sit down doing nothing and understand that it's okay to rest. You don't need to always always do things. Even when you see now in schools everywhere, kids have so many things. They're in schools, after school activities. Now from 5 years old, kids are so stressed out to know, what am I going to do when I grow up? What are the skills that do I need? I am telling you, kids, I'm like, when I was 5, 6, I didn't care. I just thought about playing, which psychologically from 0 to 12, play is the most important part of a child neurological development. But at the same time, I can go into so much, but the idea is not a call to be lazy. The idea is a call to resist the capitalism demand, which affect more Black people. Because, there's even the other book called Strong Black Women. One of the things they were saying is like, how in all chronic illness we have in North America, 80% happen from obesity. 80% happen to come from overweight Black women. And, one of the things she was saying, the author was like, every time you see an overweight body of a Black woman, it has a story to tell. And, she was describing how, like, it can be from, I have what I need. I even have a gym. I'm telling you, like, you have maybe the gym across the street, but, work demand, you have to wake up, work, take your kids to school, cook, and all of that. At the end of the day, there is no room to take care of yourself. So what this author is arguing is like, at any cost, one way of resisting is refusing. For example, if at some point you feel like, what, this is really, I deserve to rest, even at work. Most of the time, Black people, we are afraid to ask for time off. When you ask for a sick leave, you're like, oh my goodness, what is the strong way I can say that I'm sick? While the other person can feel free to be like, I'm not feeling well. And that's enough, or, explanation. So, we can continue, maybe, all of you look into that. But I really, really love this approach of, I've seen one of the things she does with her ministry. She actually hosts workshop where she invites people to just sleep. Be like, you're going to be here. We're going to give you a bed and sleep. Try to forget about work. I'm going to tell you, I cannot tell you how many times as a student, I go to sleep with a laptop because I'm afraid if I sleep, I'm not going to wake up. If I see my laptop, I'm going to wake. It's like, I'm not allowing myself to rest.
Can I maybe add? Because I think we have to be careful when we see some of the narratives, because some of them might be good for us as human beings, but not good for us as Black society. Mm-hmm. I believe if you're born in a rich family, you're gonna do less work than someone who is born poor. Therefore, obviously, we are Black people in our society. We are born on the bottom of the ladder. We are on the bottom of the barrel. We have to do more work. So I think maybe the question has to be, we need to be able to get our people to realize their purpose, to realize what their calling in life is before they can exhaust themselves. Because I think once you have that mission in life, even when you get tired, even when you get exhausted, it's at least fun, right? It's fun to go 16 hours, 17 hours a day because maybe tomorrow you don't have to do anything. You can make that decision. But if we advocate for rest because we're exhausted as a race of people, then we are saying we're sort of giving up in terms of catching up economically. I think there are things that I disagree with our economic system, but there is a lot of things that I agree with in terms of if you really want to build something and do it fast, there is no better economy to do it in than the Western society in terms of capitalism. So to me, the enemy is not capitalism so much as greed. And that's just, I think, human failure or human lack of empathy as opposed to the system of capitalism. So I think we have to be careful as a society, as a Black society, not to sometimes, yeah, it feels good to be as I started telling you that if I had a choice, I'll be in some way in Hawaii meditating. But that's not a choice I have based on my background. I can't
But
just say, you know what?
I think you are still interpreting this concept as a form of laziness. That's where the problem is.
No.
I feel like, it's important maybe if you all haven't digged enough in this concept. It's important because you are an advocate of mental health. You cannot talk about mental health without talking about rest. Because mental health is recognizing,
but do you know the first thing I say to people who suffer mental health challenges is discover who you are and find your true calling, because anything else you do is going to be really difficult for you to have space and time for yourself. So I'm saying if you do your own work or if you do the things you love, you're going to have less exhaustion compared to someone who is working for somebody who is doing something.
We're going to have another conversation. Let me tell you why I don't believe that. I know my calling. I'm going to speak on behalf of Black women, although I do not represent all of them. Many Black women that I know, they know their calling. They know what they want. But I'm telling you... Are they
living it though? Are they living it?
Yes, I am living my calling 100%.
Let me ask you this. If you had a choice, would you, because I know you a little bit, if you had a choice, would you be doing both the work that you do and going to school at the same time, or would you have first finished school and then do what you're doing right? Because the exhaustion is coming from picking those things.
If I had a choice, I would, but then that's where we go back and we
That's what I'm
talk
trying to say.
What contributes to what makes me who I am if it's not white supremacy and capitalism? Tell me what caused your division.
I think it's more like, you know how you said if you fall asleep and your computer is open, you can't really sleep. You have that anxiety that there's something waiting for you. Yeah. I think it's a matter of giving grace for yourself. Like Kizito said, he's an introvert. He has these times where he's like working really hard, but then he needs that week where he can shut off everything. Even if it's a deadline, like I can't mentally take it. And I need to do this for myself and be unapologetic, not feel guilty, because it's two things to take a break, but take your work at home. That's what they say, learn to leave your work at work. And when you go home, you're at home. And what we do is like for instance, like I write poetry, I host events and all those things. When I have those 3-4 days where I want to turn off my phone, not pick up, not reply email, I have that anxiety of, oh my God, like I'm equal to nothing. I'm very like not disciplined. I'm watching all this video. And
what caused you to have that?
Because of like what you're saying, that this world that has filled us, that you have to be every day, like you have to catch up to how the system, but you have to learn to give yourself that grace. Like learn, hey, this is my 30 minutes now, and take it.
That's when you're responding it well. That's where rest becomes, a form of resistance, because that demands that comes everywhere. The minute I turn off my phone, there's always the fear there's something coming up. But at the end of the day, resisting that is to recognize that I am a human being. I am, this body deserves to rest. If it's 5 hours, it's for me. So, and I think that's where rest becomes, resistance. So we can continue, but
yeah, I think that's like what Kizito mentioned earlier. He's like, we make it sound like we are asking someone else permission for us to be free, but you can't get it from someone else. So even if that email is there, you can reply now or you can reply 5 hours later. But you don't need to ask someone. You have to know what's best for you. So what you're saying is like that resistance, that form resistance, because they say what you resist, you strengthen. It's if you're pushing the door, like you're strengthening it, because it's also working towards you. But to learn to give yourself that room, that space, and say, I'm not asking for your permission. Because I've seen like, I have a white friend. When she's telling you, she informs you. She's like, I'm not going to be able to come. Whereas when I'm saying it, I'm like, I don't think I'm going to be. It sounds like a question when I'm saying it, because I'm like, what if next time I don't get invited? What if I automatically get cancelled? So it's my own fear that I'm resisting against. But that fear was imposed by the whole history of things.
Yes.
So it's like, you're learning that grace and knowing that you have to give it to yourself.
Yeah.
Our form of resistance is not real. It's accepting that you deserve to be here. You've worked hard enough to be like, kids, I'm here. I gave birth to you. I love you so much, but this is my space. It's not because I hate you and I'm not asking you. I'm telling you, go play, and I'm still gonna be here. So like, you are allowing yourself.
Absolutely. And
Right?
my question is, how do you incorporate rest in your daily routine? Because I need to know how you all do that. I know we have different responsibilities, different background, but how do you really incorporate that in your daily routine? And rest is just beyond going to bed and sleep. People have different ways of resting. Yeah.
I think it's worth reformulating that question. So like the idea of rest, when you say rest, that kind of insinuates that you worked for it. That, okay, I've worked enough, now I can rest. I don't think it's about that. You should be able to do nothing if you want to do nothing. It's not, you don't have to earn rest. Just
I love
do
that.
you. Do you and chill. Like,
Yeah.
basically it.
Right,
And,
we should make a
so
t-shirt
Likam,
with that. I need a t-shirt with that.
Yes.
Likam.
If you
when
wanna
the
sell it.
landlord comes at the end of the month, you will be like, oh, I was just resting, right?
Yeah, then you live on the street.
but
Look,
Kizito,
live how you
I'm just
want.
saying, like,
Live how-
we
no,
have
100%.
to be
Live-
realistic.
live how
There
you
is
want.
certain reality we're in. We
being
can't
lazy.
afford to rest like that.
It's not being lazy. We have to make a
And
difference.
see, here is back to my point about history. History also creates trauma.
Yeah.
Because you can do whatever you want, you just have to live with the consequences. If you're willing to live with the consequences, do what you want. That's basically it.
No, but to me,
That's terrifying.
for me, maybe I need to understand what you mean by rest, because you are sleeping 7 hours a day, I'm hoping. If you're not, then that's a medical issue, because you have to sleep a certain hours every day. If you're not getting that amount of hours to sleep, yeah, definitely you need to rest. But beyond that, what rest, if we're talking about exhaustion from our society, exhaustion from trauma, of course you need to rest, but at the same time, you also need to know where you are within the society and the environment you're in. If you rest too long, I'm sorry, you're gonna be left behind. If you're talking about
wait, kids left behind. Who are you racing?
Kizito, I think Kizito,
aren't we
I'm
talking about resisting oppression?
Kizito,
We're talking about resisting oppression.
But the oppression is
already
the race.
behind.
But the oppression
already
is the
behind.
race that you're in.
Kizito,
The
do you
oppression
know
is
what
that
they
idea.
say?
That's the oppression itself.
Kizito, can I ask you a question? What happened to your body when you're about to rest? Don't think about going in bed for 7 hours. Even you mentioned going somewhere, meditate every day. Meditation is a form of resting. Walking out, like after this conversation, I live close to this mini hill. I like to go there and walk there. For me, that's a form of resting. Go there, breathe the air. Get away. I'm gonna need, because for me, I think there is a misunderstanding when it comes to rest, to doing nothing. And this is what we're talking about, resisting that. Knowing that I'm resting, I am going on a walk. I know I have maybe many tasks that are due, but I remember that the minute I'm dead, my company will hire someone before they announce my funeral. So I need to go on.
Yeah.
That's the reality. So I think what we're talking about here, I think Likam said it. We also have this trauma in us Black people that if I don't do the next thing, I'm going to miss out. If I don't do the next opportunity, I'm going to miss out. But at the same time, when you look at these rich people, they keep telling us it's about many work that you do, but the quality of what you do. I can sit 20 hours doing so much. Somebody can, like the kids of these days, some people think they're not smart. They are so smart. The work that we used to do for 20 years, they know how to do it in a second. So all those things, for me, honestly, more conversation is needed, because when you read these women, both of them, their books, exactly what Kizito you're reading. If you read this book, you're going to be like, this was written for me. Because many people, especially Black people, when you're telling them rest, they start thinking, oh no, we're going to work. There are bills to pay. There's a community to build. There's always that fear of the next. But resting is not about missing out.
I would say to me, it's like, first you have to diagnose your life, because rest is on an individual level. So for you, when you say rest, I'm thinking that's my life. I have time to rest because I told you I walk, I do all that, but I don't sit at home and think, oh, I don't have something to do. That never happens.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's to me, doing that is saying, oh, I forgot what I'm supposed to be doing in this world. There should always be something that I have to do, because there is just so little time for one to accomplish what they are set out to do. But of course, you have to have rest. I just think that you have to maybe make sure that you clearly state that this is an individual thing. On an individual level, assess somebody and see where they are, whether they are exhausted and they are not taking time to rest. They are not taking walks. They are not meditating, like you say. But overall, when I think of rest, especially in our community, I'm like, I'm sorry, we need to work harder. Not rest.
I am so sorry this time around. I do not agree with you in that, because you even saying you always have something to do. For me, I wish that can never be my lifestyle. I wish I can have days where I don't have something to do. Where I think Likam said, you just chill. I wish it can just that. And the other thing, saying that it has to be an individual thing. I think rest is not an individual thing. It's our human right thing. Every human being deserves to rest and freely without any fear. When we face our community, the reason why there is fear is because of these inequalities, oppression, no access to opportunities, no access to housing. I know many families now who cannot afford for rent in our community now, they're in shelters and all of that. So although they want to rest, they can't mental. They can be in bed sleeping, but mental, there's so many things that affect us.
Yeah.
Because by capitalism, what we talk about, more we face this oppression, more we are poor, more we depend on the rich person. Who's the rich person? So we know what we're talking about. So anyhow, the question was, how do you do that in your daily life? How do you incorporate? If you don't rest, that's okay. But I would like to hear all of you, because Gen 365 is all about, promoting the mental well-being. And I think sharing your tips, maybe things I do me. I said how now I like going on a walk, because I was like, winter most of the time I don't want to go out. But now I'm forcing myself every day, go on a walk, put on my jacket, go even feel that cold, breathe and really stay there. So for me, that's what I'm doing right now. So I want to hear just some tips from you as we coming to the end, so our audience can really reflect on the ways that they recharge and yeah.
I love this. I think I'm going to go for, I do take a lot of rest, because it's like, for me, it's about energy. When I'm really inspired to, I work overtime. Sometimes I can't even sleep because ideas are running through my mind. I'm texting, I call people the wrong time, 2 a.m. That's because that thing is now coming to me. And then the next day, I just want to listen to music, to go take a walk, go swimming. I think that's my favorite thing, where it feels like I have power over something. I don't know if fighting water is power over something, but it helps a lot. Yeah, so that music mostly, just playing loud music and doing weird moves. That helps me relax.
How about you, Likam?
I mean, a lot of what Rita said, right? It's just about going with my energy as it comes to me. Like small understandings that I work best. I do my best writing in the morning, I do my best reading at night, things like that. And just being aware of how my energy flows within me and how I can spread that out. But also just on top, on a bigger scale than that, just taking time out and stepping out and being like, okay, I'm just going to put society on that corner and just do my own thing over here. And just try to get out of that headspace of I have to do this, I have to do that, or I have to worry about this, I have to worry about my community, my this, my that. Just sitting down for a while and just be like, nothing's around, just me, what's up?
Absolutely.
We're getting a lot of t-shirts from him. Can we please have hashtags? I'm getting a lot of words out.
No,
We'll give it to kids to sell,
follow
man. Get
the
that capitalist money out.
Literally. You
Um,
said we need to be rich. This is one way to, like, amazing
listen.
ideas.
Yeah.
Rita,
You're all gonna be surprised,
follow
but
this lady on social media, Tricia. Her social media handle is called Nap Ministry. You gotta be so, like, honestly, it's gonna help you to change from, oh, I'm not being lazy. I work for this. My body deserves to rest, and I have to honor, because I have one body. And even one of the wake up call I got was from this strong Black woman giving out all the statistics of how the well-being of Black women is. And, for sure there's so much to blame, but at the same time, we have to make a choice to be like, I got this one body. If I don't rest, nobody else is here. I do not care what's happening around me. I'm going to do what I have to do. Then I need to take care of this whole body. So, Kizito, any tips you can...
I mean, so I know I agree with both all of you. Well, Lydia, I'm disagreeing with you a little bit. I agree with.
I feel like you guys are arguing this, like, different sides of the same coin. But
I hope so. But no, I know
about this, me and Kizito. Don't worry about it.
I know this lady she's talking about, and for me, it just rubs me the wrong way. But I do agree with the concept of resting. I like exactly what Likam said and what Rita said is, I mean, as an introvert, I have to function that way. But I also have to think not as myself, but as a member of our community, where most of our people are working 9 to 5. And this is not a choice that they have. You can't just tell your boss, oh, I'm going to take a nap for half an hour. Like, that's not an option you have. So having said that, I think that for me, I think, because I'm even
sorry
thinking...
to interrupt. I think I would to say that's not a choice you have. What if you're having a panic attack?
I mean, 9 to 5 is 9 to 5, Rita. Like,
No. There are some people, like, let's say people work call center. Literally, you call someone, and as soon as they say, hey, I'm representing bank of something, they start cursing you everything they've learned since childhood. I have friends who cry just over that. They're like, I don't even know you.
Okay, maybe,
So, like,
maybe it depends on the nature of work that you do. But most of the hands-on...
If you break it down, it becomes a whole thing. It's like...
That's what I'm saying.
You guys
fair
need
to
this
kids,
conversation.
at that point, I don't think the problem is rest. You're just doing the wrong job, Like, rest isn't the issue.
Isn't that what I say, though? That's what I say.
That's what I'm saying.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Like,
but the majority of us, Kizito, the majority of our community, minorities, we are not doing exactly what we dream of doing. And
what they enjoy.
Ourselves. I am telling you, many people, when you look at the statistic, Black people in North America, they are among the highly educated right now. But
that's
access to equal opportunity, equal pay and all of that, it's not the reality. It's not the reality.
Yeah, there is actually a new status that just came out by Status Canada that says exactly that. We are the most educated but least hired out of university.
Yeah.
So
they say we already have one of you.
That's why these days I tell people, from me, it's about socioeconomic status, your level of socioeconomic status equal the level of your mental well-being. It's not always the fact, but highly most of the time in our community, that's the reality. You have people coming in therapy most of the time. Most of the time, most of the time, why? Because of really many poverty, lack of access to housing, food, and all of that. Anyhow, we're coming to the end. One thing to remind our community, Black Mental Health Week is coming. First week of March, June 11. We have this amazing event we are organizing.
March.
Yeah, March 11. It's going to be on a Saturday. I think we're going to share information soon. Please be part of that event. There are so many events are happening. I think in Hamilton community, there is a welcoming newcomers. Burundian and Rwandan community are coming together to welcome newcomers in Hamilton. There's so much happening. If you look at in the I know we have a big French community in Mississauga on the 19th, I believe, or It's going to be on Saturday. They have the Black History Month celebration. There's so many things happening. Gen 365, we want to be able to share those information, those opportunities. Kizito, RCHC, now they have a space. If you have a meeting for your organization, if you want to organize something, I think you host up to 60 people at your space.
Yes.
So you can reach out to Kizito, whatever community you come from, especially the Afro-Black community. You can email them, and I will have him quickly provide the contact information. And all of you, you can, before I give you the bonus question, maybe quickly you can share how people can reach out to you if anyone wants to collaborate with you and receive some of your services. Thank you.
I'll go first. If you want to reach out to me, you can hit up my website, www.likamk.com, likam.com.
Thank you. And Likam, you can send that to us so that we can add that once we publish the podcast, and people can be able to connect with you, especially your area, writing and all of that. That's a rich area we need in our community. So yes. And Kizito?
Yeah, for me, you can simply Google Rwandan Canadian Healing Center, or RCHC. Our work is everywhere on social media, on all platforms. We have a website. We also have a new project that's happening now. It's an affordable housing project called the African Canadian Affordable Housing Solution, where we're creating a model for members of the African Canadian community who are looking to build affordable housing. We have a press conference coming up on the 21st on that project. So if you are interested in being a part of that press conference, you can check out our social media for links. We're going to be putting links for Eventbrite to sign up. We have limited spaces, so if you're not signed up by a certain date, you might not be able to be there. And we are, like Lydia said, we have new spaces, so we would love to host any Rwandan Canadian member, African Canadian member interested in doing something and they need a space. We have a project that allows us to do that right now, so we have opened it to the community. So if you're interested, do let us know. My email, kizito@rchc.ca.
Thank you so much. And Rita?
You can now follow me on Instagram at the Cyper, so that's THECYPER, and also YouTube channel. Can subscribe and like and share. And what else? I think that's it. And also United for Humanity organization, if you want to keep up with the humanitarian work and giving back to the community. And Lydia, if I may ask, can you please share the books links? And I want to see the have the review after this. I want
Rita,
to understand.
I'm gonna need you to read
Rita,
that.
Rita.
And we're gonna come back here to talk about it together.
Yes, please.
I'm building a new movement that's gonna go against this movement.
I'm learning a lot today.
That's okay. That's okay. And anyhow, and also for people who have organizations, especially grassroots organization, there is a founding closing on 21st of February, Community Recovery Fund. Please, if you want, I think you can apply up to 200,000. Is it 200,000? Yeah. So please, if you want.
Yeah, that's for national organizations, it's up to 500,000. If you are local, it's up to 250.
Yes, so that's a great opportunity. And also, if you like to volunteer with one of our organizations, we are always open. You can, I hope with the conversation we had, you are going to still like us. So, but we really love our community. We are doing this. And I love, honestly, with all the podcasts we had, I love this because we had different perspectives. And that's so important. We don't have to see things in the same way, and I really appreciate that. In one, maybe 10 seconds, you're not going to say what they do. I want you to give flowers to either one community or one Black, person who's doing an amazing work. Just say their name or say the name of the organization so they can be encouraged with what they do. Likam?
Yeah, I'm gonna throw it to Kizito over here in the RCHC. I used to work for him. I see all the work he's doing, and we're actually gonna be collaborating on the housing issue too. So,
Uh-huh.
it's just great to see someone do so much good work, and it's been a pleasure being a part of that and knowing you. So he's my choice.
Thank you, Rita.
Thank you.
I'll say beyond the veil, like you're right here, for
Amen.
all the work and the hard work and like having this like uncomfortable conversations in order for us to be comfortable, like in our day-to-day lives. So thank you for providing this space. It's really, I learned a lot today. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And Kizito?
I'm going to throw it to my mentor, Mr. Emmanuel Meles, and the group. There is a group that's working on a forum called the Decade of African People of African Descent, and now we do have a permanent forum at the United Nations, and I know he's involved in that. Of course, he has his own organization called the Network for the NAPSI, Network for Advancement of Black Communities, and just to see some of the work that they have been putting together. I know there is recently another organization that's in their network just received the $200 million fund to be distributed among Black community organizations. So definitely someone to appreciate in our community. One of my heroes.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much. I think on my end, I will say Ariel, the London West MP. That woman is really doing major work, especially connecting the Afro-Black community, advocacy, so many things she is doing. And for sure, our growing organizations from the Rwandan community. I do appreciate each one of them, Kerry, RCHC, Umurage, Humanity. Oh my goodness, Humanity. Can you please, Rita, don't kill me. Oh my God.
United for Humanity.
United for Humanity. Now I'm going to start with United Nations. United for Humanity. Okay. So
this is what I used to do when people can't pronounce or spell our organization. Usually you have to pay. So Rita, she owes you a few dollars.
Yeah. Honestly, anyone doing this work, I really, really salute you, because it's love. You cannot do this without love. That's a fact. When you see anyone advocating for the community, know that they're really doing it out of love. So last question, you know what? Maybe let's leave this out of the whole conversation.
It's a bonus question. What if it has money in it? It's a bonus. Come on.
Okay, what is one? Okay, it's the bonus. It's the last one. What is one thing you are trying to solve in your life right now? Personal life. What is one thing? Maybe someone can hear it right now and be like, oh, let me.
Money. Give me money.
I feel like that could be all of us as answers.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Money for you, money for the community, money for them.
You get money, right? We need Oprah for money.
Y'all should join me on the capitalist side,
Yeah.
Honestly, more money.
Yeah.
Ooh, for who? For who?
Well, I mean, for us this time.
That history doesn't say that. That's all I'm saying.
But by the way, I was gonna make an argument on that, because I do believe that as much as we aim for money, we have to remember that you could get all the money and then all of a sudden we change the system and the money means nothing.
I'm sorry. I need to get to that. Sorry, it's like, okay. I want to do something to me. Please.
Okay, please do.
I was walking and then I reflected, all the time you ask yourself, is this really my calling? What do I really, really want? Because I'm reading this book again, the Growing Rich, but the black one.
How to think and grow rich?
No. Grow Rich. It's the one was written by Napoleon. Then it was edited for the Black choice for the Black community. And then I was like, oh, you know what? Actually, my calling is to just be rich and help everyone. You know what? Stop everything. I know I love people. I know I want to help. That my calling is simple as this. So anyhow, we continue to work together. We continue to support one another, sharing opportunities. And if you hear this conversation, connect us. We have many skills. You heard everyone. We can deliver, okay? Okay, thank you, everyone. And thank you so much for being here. And I really hope that next time, even when you come to this podcast, it's going to be even a more powerful. There's so much that I wish that I can do for you to even have a better experience. And that's what we're working toward to. And thank you so much. Thank you to our community. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
That's it for the week. We hope you gathered your dose of resilience for the week ahead. Follow Gen 365 podcast to know when the next episode comes up on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, or Google Podcasts. Share with your friends, community, and family, and do not also forget to follow and share feedback or questions on our community organization social media at Beyond the Veil Mission on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Or learn more about our work via our website at www.beyondtheveilmission.com. In the spirit of building resourceful, stronger communities, we can also help your community or business or organization to share your news and event on our podcast. Please email us for collaboration at podcastgen365@gmail.com. Thank you. Bye.